Hey guys, welcome to our first ever Zoom recording. This is the Ball Bro team right here. We've got Tarek and Richard, and I'm Ben. We thought we'd kind of start recording some of these chats where we're just having a chat and talking to each other about the topics that we've covered during the week. So this week was realization. We all kind of briefly discussed, when we first realized we were starting to lose our hair, but it's quite fun to have this formula where we can kind of chat about it and actually, have a laugh and get each other's opinions of it. So, yeah, Tarek, you had an experience using Propecia. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, well, with realization, I think it was just because I always knew that it was coming when the first signs appeared, where, like I'd be in a bar and I'd see in the mirror, like a light shining on my head and I'd see my scalp and like the whole night would be ruined. I'd think, okay, it's time to do something. And back in the day, the only thing I wanted to do was keep my hair. And so the options at that time that I knew about was Propecia. So I basically took it for 10 years, having made that realization that, okay, it was like, I'm going bald now. I'd always realized that I always knew it was going to happen, but there was like a separate realization when it actually started happening. And that was at like 22, or even earlier actually, but maybe even around 1920. Yeah. And then a long time on that. And I mean, it's a separate topic, I think, finasteride and the sort of the hair treatments. But then,
yeah, we should definitely go into that a bit more, I think, and have a whole episode, T, when you just tell us all about it, because we've had a fair few messages come in, haven't we, in relation to it, especially this week.
I think so, but I mean, on the realization topic, it was just okay. And then there was a second realization of, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to come off this and I'm going to take control and just shave my head. And I mean, it's a repeated kind of sentiment that we have, but I mean, I wish I'd done it earlier, because all the worry, all the angst, everything, once you've shaved your head, and I preempted it, so I still kind of had hair that was now going to start falling because of the stopping of Propecia, but once I took control, just never looked back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I talked about my journey, but my dad's like proper bald. I mean, I'm bald, but he's got like,
unlike you,
like Homer Simpson triangle of like 3 hairs on the side. So I knew it was coming. My mum's got really thin hair, so I was kind of braced for it. I knew it was going to come, and so when it was a really gradual thing for me, because it started at the back, and I'd sort of saw it occasionally in reflections and stuff, and so I started cutting my hair short before it was really obvious, but then I started wearing hats quite a lot to try and hide it. So the hard thing for me was actually stopping wearing hats in public and stuff, and going out and wearing hats, and actually just looking at the cap or the hat or the beanie on the side and thinking, actually, I don't want to wear it anymore. I just want to be comfortable in my own skin. Because there are some occasions where it's a bit ridiculous to wear a hat. You don't want to be in a restaurant on a date wearing a baseball cap or a woolly hat, and so you just got to embrace it. But then if you're not feeling comfortable about the way you look, then you need to fix that. So you need to just kind of stop wearing it in every day-to-day life.
I went to many meals and in a beanie or a cap for many years.
And with the hats that you guys like, because I never really, because I kind of postponed my balding journey with Propecia. With you guys, like that realization of, okay, you're going bald, it was wearing hats just to hide it, to prolong it. I mean, what was the thinking behind that on both of you?
To hide it, I think.
Well, just to make me feel more comfortable and confident, more than anything. That was it. Like, well, and to hide it, but I tend to obviously put the hat on more once I shave my head. Like when we were talking about the realization, it's a few steps, should we say? I think you've got the realization that it's happening, and then there's a second realization when it's time to shave the head, almost, isn't it?
So that's the same for you, Ben. It was sort of like, okay, wow, it's happening now. I want to hide it. Like, initial reaction is just.
I mean, it was so gradual for me. It was over a long period of time, and I think I'd probably been bald for ages, but I just hid it away. And it was just so much easier just to grab a hat and not think about it. So I guess I just got so used to wearing a hat that became my hair almost when I went out.
Did you change it up, or you just had one hat?
I had a few. I mean, it depends. Obviously, I had beanies in the winter and caps in the summer, but usually, yeah, there was just the same hat for quite a lot of time, which I mean, pretty gross looking back at it, and you know.
But there's
Yeah, I pretty much wore a flat cap from about 2007 till 15. Peaky Blinders came along and ruined it for us, basically. So couldn't carry on wearing it. So if anything, it didn't ruin it. It did us a favour.
Yeah. I mean, there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with hats, and you know, they're good.
You get comments as well. People are saying, you know, why do you always wear a hat? And you don't want to say, well, because I'm bald and I'm hiding it. You just, I don't know, you get more comments from wearing a hat than if you just take your hat off and embrace being bald. Because people don't generally say, why are you bald?
Yeah, especially when you're wearing a baseball cap in a restaurant or stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious that it's a hiding thing as opposed
exactly, yeah.
And then I tell you, one thing that used to drive me bananas was when you'd be out and you'd have a hat on and you'd be trying to cover it up, and there'd always be one wally who thought it'd be absolutely hilarious just to whip the hat off your head anyway. There's like guaranteed to happen no matter who you were out with.
Yeah, secretly they were doing you a favour, but
yeah.
Smack them.
Not when it was females though that you were probably trying to impress, but hey ho.
Yeah, I've had that.
So if there's a message, like, I mean, because I'm sure a few of like people who might end up watching this, like in that stage of, oh God, okay, going bald. Now I'm wearing a hat a lot, and I think we've seen that in some of the messages. What would your guys like advice or something be to them?
Mine would be just to start wearing it less. You know, you can still wear it when it's sunny. It's a good idea to protect your head from the sun, and it's still a good idea to wear a hat when it's cold. But you don't have to wear it every day all the time. Just start getting used to it. Say to yourself, do I actually need to wear a hat today? Is this hat going to protect me, or am I just wearing it for vanity purposes? And I think if you're just doing it for that, then it's time to start, you know, leaving the hat at home and just embracing the way you look. I mean, another thing that happened briefly was if I would meet someone, I would be wearing my hat and I would meet them a few times, and then I would realize that they'd never seen me without my hat. And then occasionally, like when they did see me without my hat, they'd be like really surprised because that was brand new to them, even though we'd got to know each other. They'd never known the true me. So I think the sooner that you embrace not wearing a hat and introduce yourself who you are without hiding anything away, the better.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, 100% agree on that.
Yeah, sorry, Rich. I think it's interesting you mentioned like the true you, because that's something I felt whilst taking Propecia. It's similar to like a hat. It was hiding what was naturally me. And I think that's quite an important kind of realization that I made when deciding to stop Propecia was, oh, I feel that. I feel like I'm hiding. I feel like I'm kind of diverting the course of nature or whatever. So, and that gave me the kind of courage to stop taking it and embrace what was coming.
Because there's almost like two realizations here. There's the realization that you're losing your hair, but then there's also the realization that you're often better off embracing it and shaving it and getting on with your life. So I think there's two realizations here. And the second one is so freeing, and between the two there's obviously that self-doubt and all the rest of it. So the shorter you can make that, better, I think.
Definitely good message.
Well, when going back to what you're saying about it's like gradually, you know, do I need to wear this hat today? It's nothing can, well, you can't go cold turkey, shall we say. It's a gradual process, isn't it? You've got to ease yourself into it. So, you know, just take your time. That would be my advice more than anything, I think, to anyone.
Yeah,
good advice. So do you think that's kind of covered the realization topic for today?
Rich, did you want to go any more into your experience apart from just hats on the realization phase?
After the realization phase, well, with me, like at the time, as I said, I was at 17, so I just kind of like freaked out. Went and screwed up my dad after he told me that everything was going to be all right. But yeah, so I just looked at different things. Like it would have been 17, so probably 2002, 2001. There wasn't as much stuff kicking around. Like, as you say, when it was time for you, you went on and found babysitter. I don't even think that existed at the time, and it was just like Regain or something. And I tried that for a while, and it said on the packet, you know, it could, you know, speed up the process at first before the new hair grew back, which I felt that it did, and it used to drive me mad putting it on. So if anything, I sped up the process and never saw it through if it did work, and made it a million times worse. But yeah, I guess that's a topic that we can all talk about, like what we did to try and you know, keep it going for a little bit longer.
Definitely.
I think there's a nice bit in the Andre Agassi post that we're putting out today when we were doing the research behind it, and he said, you know, it became such a stress and a worry that at one point he was more worried about the way his hair looked than actually playing tennis and winning the Grand Slam title, and he lost it. And now, you know, he says it's not worth worrying about. So I think that the message is clear. Like, the sooner that you can stop worrying about it and move on with your life, just the more free you'll feel.
Definitely. I mean, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are the same. It can obsess you at that phase where you've made the realization that it's happening. And
no, it's a huge obsession. It takes over your life
completely. And I mean, it's just not talked about enough, and it is that gap between the two realizations of, one, oh my God, it's happening, and two, it doesn't matter at all. So I think it's like shortening that gap is definitely a positive message that we can try and promote.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Should we wrap it up there then, guys? And
definitely. Okay.
We're aiming to do one of these each week, so hold tight. We're not sure what the topic for next week is going to be yet, but we hope you found it engaging. And yeah, speak to you all soon.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Good night, guys. Take care.